Welcome back to Sugar, Spice and Rosé. My name is Erica and today I'll be showing you how to make Bajan meat rolls. If you're familiar with Bajan culture, you know a Bajan or you visited Barbados, I know that you know about a meat roll because we as Bajans love them. A Bajan meat roll is fairly similar to a British sausage roll. It's made with puff pastry and then this really delicious herb infused meat filling. And I will be showing you exactly how to make it and how simple it is to make. To start, I add 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil to a hot pan. Then I add some brown sugar to make a browning. I like to make a browning because it gives the meat filling a nice color as well as a nice flavor. It takes away that raw mixed meaty flavor that's usually there. And I let that cook. I let that brown sugar melt until it gets nice and dark like you see. Then I add in the meat and I stir that together. I allow that to cook until a lot of the water and that fat has evaporated. And then from there, when you see it gets nice and brown like this, I like to add in my aromatics. And you can see that I have shredded carrot. That is non-traditional, but I did want to increase the nutritional value of this dish. So I used shredded carrot, but my aromatics were the onion, garlic, sweet pepper, and my herbs. Then I went in with my spices, the onion powder, garlic powder, curry powder, black peppers, and salt to taste. And then I added 1 to 2 tablespoons of ketchup because I like that. And I know you can see that big piece of thyme there, but I just like to drop the thyme in and then take the stick out at the end. That's just how I like to do it. I allow that to cook down until I start to see some of the mixture sticking to the pan. And then I deglaze with some water. I cover it just enough and I allow that to simmer until all of that water has evaporated. Like you see here, it's really nice and thick. And I find nowadays a lot of people use breadcrumbs or like old stale bread to make the filling, and I hate the texture of that. But me making this recipe, I'm showing you exactly how you can get that nice thick texture without having to use any sort of bread in your filling, which is really weird. So then I roll out my puff pastry and I show you how to make that in my Bajan horseshoe video, so make sure you watch that. I roll it out into a large rectangle and I do that until it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. And then I lay the meat roll filling out into like a hot dog shape like you see right there. And then I fold the pastry over it. So we're going to pretend that this is a cinnamon roll. And where that puff pastry is going to meet itself, I like to brush it with some egg wash, which is an egg beaten with a little bit of water, and I roll that onto itself, and the egg wash is there to make sure that it sticks to itself and it doesn't unravel whilst it's baking. So I roll that over. You only want to do it just enough to seal that meat into the pastry. You don't want to like keep rolling, but you just want to do it until that meat is properly encased in your pastry. Then I remove the excess pastry by cutting it with my bench scraper, and then I go around the ends where I cut and I try to seal it together the best I can by pinching it a little bit just to make sure that it is sealed. And without handling it too much, I just shape it a little bit. I want to make sure that filling is even so that your meat rolls are an even size. And from here, I cut my meat roll log into 3. You can feel free to cut it into whatever size you feel free. If you want mini meat rolls, cut it smaller. And then I place them on a baking sheet and I place them in the fridge until I'm ready, because you want to make sure that that pastry stays cold. And I just repeat this for all of my meat rolls. As you can see, I just repeat the same step, brushing it with egg wash, folding it over like similar to a cinnamon roll. But again, I just want to encase that meat filling with the puff pastry, and I make sure it's all tucked in nicely whilst I'm doing that. This is a part of my In the Heart of a Bajan series where I'm showing you how easy it is to make Bajan delicacies in the comfort of your own home. Nowadays, a lot of these companies and bakeries, they've really dropped the ball on quality, they're making a lot of shortcuts. Yes, I understand because ingredients are expensive, but you still have to be mindful that people are spending their money with you and you want to give them something proper. And unfortunately, we aren't getting anything proper. So I've decided I'm going to be making a lot of these things on my own. And yes, it takes time, but in the end, I really enjoy it. So I place all of my meat rolls on a parchment lined baking sheet and I place them in the freezer until they're really nice and hard and cold and frozen to make sure that butter is nice and cold. Then I take some curry powder and I beat that into the egg wash and I brush that over the tops of the meat roll. I do that so that I can get color. I couldn't add the curry powder or turmeric to the dough because I used the other half of this dough for my Bajan horseshoes. So I've just added the curry powder to the egg wash, brushed it to get that signature golden color. And I bake these at 395 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. It may take longer or shorter to bake these depending on your oven, but you'll just keep an eye out for the color because the color is a great indicator of the doneness of your meat roll. So you want to make sure they get this beautiful golden color and you can enjoy your meat rolls. Be sure to check out my Bajan horseshoe recipe video. I also show you how to make the puff pastry recipe from scratch along with a delicious pineapple filling, and that is another loved Bajan delicacy. Thank you so much for being here and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!